Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to COD Zombies HQ. Recently we released a video covering the top 10 outside the map secrets on the Ether maps released in Black Ops 4, Classified, and Blood of the Dead. If you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out, linked down in the description, but today we're covering 10 more outside the map secrets on the other two Zombies on Disc maps in Black Ops 4, 9, and Voyage of Despair. As always, if you too want to explore outside of the map, finding these secrets for yourself, the tutorial on how to do it will be at the end of this video. We're counting down this list in no particular order, starting at number 10. So kicking things off here on Voyage of Despair, when traveling outside of the map, and here specifically underneath the map, we get a really good view of the Titanic that we can't see when actually playing within the confines of the regular map. And specifically in this case, we can see that the developers actually went ahead and modeled the entire Titanic, including its infamous tri-propellers that are located far underneath the map and at the back of the ship. When I was speaking with Jason Blundell, the head of Zombies at Treyarch at the Black Ops 4 reveal event, he stressed just how realistic the Voyage of Despair's version of Titanic was, where they modeled each individual floor and obviously extended to details that you normally can't even see when playing the map. Cool. Heading over to 9 for the fitting number 9 spot. When here outside of the map in theater mode, we can trigger the Skybox to actually change to what it is during the Danu challenge of the main Easter egg. By forcing our camera up and up to the very top of the map, we actually trigger a barrier where the skybox changes to a beautiful bright sunny day into a picturesque starry night. The changes take a second to kick in as the stars slowly get brighter as the new skybox is loaded, but it's really cool to get an overview of the 9 Zombies map as it would have looked under this starry nighttime skybox lit only from the huge cauldrons that are placed around the map. Now back to Voyage of Despair for our number 8 spot. When exploring outside of the map into some of the behind the scenes area that the developers have crafted behind the zombie spawns that players were never supposed to see. In this case, heading down to the very lowest level of the grand staircase in the Titanic, we get to explore some fairly well detailed back rooms and corridors that are located inside a darkened zombie spawn on the map. In this area, the corridors go way far back outside the map with different alleyways that you can duck into and details on the wall like radiators, and sitting on the ground is a bunch of lounge chairs. It almost makes me think that this could have been a playable area at one point, with another possible playable area coming at the second class entryway, which in the finished map takes part of a zombie spawn, but by getting outside the bounds we can start to head into the interior of the ship, working our way down this spiral staircase, which seems to be centered by floors resembling an elevator, a central elevator shaft running down into the depths of the hull that would be located as part of the second class entryway into the ship. The staircase goes quite a few stories down before being met by totally outside of the map. Sticking on Voyage for the number 7 spot, by heading outside of the map we can get a really good view of a huge extensive secret room on the map itself. This secret room is located inside a zombie spawn at the back of the forward cargo hold. When looking into the window itself, the room doesn't look very big, doesn't look that interesting, but when glitching inside of the room itself, we can see that it goes way down to the very bottom of the ship, where there's a huge long open passageway that actually has rushing water surging through the hold of the compartment. This is the absolute largest inaccessible room within Voyage of Despair. There's nothing that even tops how big this actual area is that players aren't supposed to see, which makes me think it might have been for some other purpose at one point in the map's development. Back to 9 for number 6. While exploring outside of the map, we can come across this furry rodent running off into nowhere outside of the map. Not exactly sure where this rat was running or where it's triggered to go. The model itself is placed here at the very beginning of the game and doesn't move anywhere throughout it, meaning that this little rodent is forever cursed to be located outside of the bounds where players will never be able to see him unless you manage to get outside of the map. Another thing the developers probably didn't want us to see up close at our number 5 spot here on 9 is the detail of the crowd itself. Now, when exploring the models of the crowd on the lower level, we can see that they're pretty well detailed. They seem to be pretty unique as well. Each one of them are in the midst of their own animation. Some have their hoods on, others have their hair styled differently and things like that. So far, so good, but that changes when we head up one level to the upper bowl and start taking a look at these grisly looking creatures. Here in the upper deck, the spectators aren't as sophisticated as those in the lower deck. They don't deserve as much detail because they're much farther away from the player's view, so I guess Treyarch figured, hey, we can reduce the texture quality. They're so far away no one will notice, but they didn't account for players being able to get outside the map and taking a look at these paper spectators up close. Heading to Voyage of Despair for our number 4 spot, have you ever wanted to see what the iceberg looks like in its entirety that hits the Titanic at the very beginning of the match? Well, here we are at the beginning, and we can just see the iceberg itself is huge. It extends way down below the waterline itself. This is probably the biggest single moving object we've ever seen in a zombies map, and as you can see, it just tears through the ship itself. The actual fragments of the iceberg that gets torn off as it's hitting into the Titanic are actually their own diverse objects themselves. They get broken off and then roll down underneath the iceberg and way underneath the map. As the iceberg moves along the ship, it's triggered to go lower and lower into the map until it finally ducks underneath the waterline and descends way under the map, never to be seen again, as the Titanic keeps chugging injured forward. For our number 3 spot, we're checking out some of the diverse models and objects that are strewn about here under the map of Voyage of Despair. Checking out things like random doors that seem to, when we buy them above, they fly down underneath the map, and this is where they stay for the duration of the map. Weird things like potted plants for some reason are located underneath the map. We can even see this mangled collection of different objects from the ship just kind of packed together into a ball. I'm not really sure what these are doing here, but there's definitely a diverse selection of them, including a lifeboat and a huge crane. Now back to 9 for the number 2 spot. If you ever wondered where you're transported during the step in the Easter egg where you have to shoot down different boils within the tree, the game actually teleports you away from the regular map of 9 and to its own huge chunk of map section located far underneath the map itself. Now we can't actually get down and get a good view of what that looks like, but when looking down from above, we can see the outlines of the half-loaded section of this map that you're taken to during the portion of the Easter egg. There also seems to be some kind of mystery box looking object down there that I can't really make out. If mod tools ever get released for the PC, it'd be nice to head into actual noclip, go all the way down there and see exactly what those things are. And for our final spot on the list before the tutorial portion, at 2 spots underneath the map, there is a vast area of a second floor that exists underneath the map. Now, these floors are solid objects, meaning if we're able to teleport down here somehow, if you glitch underneath the map or you use noclip and then unnoclip to get on these locations, it seems like they all have collision on them, meaning that theoretically you can actually walk around down here. The areas with this false floor are pretty vast, meaning that you can possibly explore a large chunk underneath the map while in game as the first person character model. Pretty cool to think about for the future. If you enjoyed the tour, if there's something in it that you haven't seen before, definitely remember to smash that thumbs up button down below. And hey, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Now, if you want to explore outside of the map on 9 and Voyage of Despair, this is how you do it. It's a little bit more complex than what we did back in Blood of the Dead and Classified. It might take you a few times to get, but this is how you do it. Starting things off on Voyage of Despair, you want to head around a corridor just near the spawn room of the map. There'll be this kind of barrier where a bunch of furniture and stuff is stacked up. You want to down yourself with a grenade or have zombies down you, then back your way towards the barrier facing the opposite side of the room. pushing against the barrier as you're being either self-revived in a solo or custom mutations game, or being revived from a friend in a co-op game. Then once you're revived, remain looking at that opposite wall, do a little wiggle with your character with your back towards the barrier. You might want to down yourself a few times just to make sure you get it. You'll know you've gotten it when you head into theater mode, you down yourself, you're in first person, then switch to third person. You want to take positions behind your character looking the same way that you're looking in first person. Then when you're revived, there'll be a split second, a moment where the camera will glitch behind the barrier. At that exact moment, you have to press pause and then switch to free cam. If you did it right, if the camera glitched far enough outside of the barrier, you'll be able to head into free cam, right out the window, and continue to explore outside of the map here on Voyage of Despair. Now let's do a similar tactic over on 9. I found the best place to do this is over by this window within the Odin temple on the map, but you want to do a similar tactic, but instead of backing in towards the window, you want to face the window while in a down state, keep pushing up against it while you're being revived. Then, when in theater mode, head into third person on the downed character, but look in the opposite direction in which this character is looking, on the opposite side of the room. If you do it correctly, then just like on Voyage, there should be a split second in which your camera is bumped outside of the map. Pause the camera at that moment and switch to free cam, and now you're free to explore outside of the map on 9. Thanks for watching, and happy exploring!